Alex McIntyre, 19, was brought up in a Britain being reshaped by government cuts. He gave up on capitalism after a year in college. Brighton, England. Alex McIntyre was raised on budget cuts. The youth centre where he went after school was shuttered when he was 10. When he was 11, his mother's housing benefit was shaved away, a casualty of the Welfare Reform Act. By the time the streetlight in his cul-de-sac began blinking off at midnight a few years later, these events had knitted together into a single story, about a government policy that had defined his childhood. "Austerity, that's what I know, that's my life," said Mr. McIntyre. "I've never known an England that was a different way." Now 19 and old enough to vote, Mr. McIntyre is making up for lost time. Over the last 6 months, he was drawn into the center of the Momentum movement, an ideological marketplace buzzing with rebranded socialism and trade unionism. His parents may have gotten their news from the Sun and the Daily Mail, but he listens to reports on the crisis of capitalism from Novara Media, a left-wing independent media group. Over Christmas he started reading Marx. Mr. McIntyre is the first in his family to attend college, part of a vast cohort of young Britons that was meant to embody upward social mobility. It is a paradox that so many in this bulge, like their counterparts in the United States, are giving up on free market capitalism, convinced it cannot provide their families with a decent life. The general election of 2017 exposed the starkest generation gap in the recent history of British politics. Young voters broke dramatically for the Labour Party, whose socialist leader, Jeremy Corbyn, has promised to rebuild the welfare state and redistribute wealth. Hardened against the centrists of their parents' generation, they have tugged the party to the left, opening up rifts that are now fracturing Labour. The young also saw their views on exiting the European Union, 3/4 of them voted to remain, bulldozed by leavers their grandparents' age. Mr. McIntyre is still angry that he was too young, by a year, to vote in that 2016 referendum. He is pale and lanky, discreetly tattooed, caustically funny and so well-mannered that he would rather miss his train than cut into a line. "Being British can be limiting," he observed. He is not representative of a generation. But his grievance is generational, that the state has taken away benefits his parents and grandparents enjoyed, like low-cost housing and free education. "We're not blind to it. We're not stupid, you know," Mr. McIntyre said. "The reason we're opposing what's going on is what we've been dealt. Britons who came of age in the wake of the global financial crisis of 2008 will, in many cases, be worse off than their parents. Born on the wrong side of skyrocketing property values, 30-year-olds are only half as likely to own homes as baby boomers were at the same age. A third are expected to rent for their whole lives. Unlike previous generations, they are expected to foot the bill for an expensive education. The average graduate now owes the government more than £50,800, or $64,000, a debt to be paid back gradually upon securing a well-paid job, according to the Institute for Fiscal Studies. The portion of Britons attending college has climbed to 49%, the highest level ever, but they will graduate into a historic spell of wage stagnation. Robert Ford, a professor of politics at the University of Manchester, recalled Margaret Thatcher's thesis about homeownership. By allowing low-income Britons to buy the state housing they rented, she could make them into stakeholders in market capitalism, enlarging the Tory party. With his students, realizing in their 20s that they are not likely ever to own a home, that process has been thrown into reverse. "All the risk has been shifted onto them," he said. "They know this is not the situation their parents and grandparents were in. You've got a generation since the crisis with lower mobility and lower security. It makes them less convinced that the market delivers good outcomes." It was a big deal for Alex McIntyre to make it to college. He comes from a lower middle-class neighbourhood of Welwyn Garden City, north of London, one where life expectancy trails the national average. He grew up in a state-subsidized rental property and attended a school ranked requires improvement by the State Educational Inspection Agency. His sister had her first child at 16. Social mobility was a mantra for the Conservative Party during those years. David Cameron promised this in 2010, as he announced the tripling of university tuition fees. Higher fees, he argued, would open up new spots and create better opportunities by encouraging market competition, something closer to the American system. "We have made our choice," Mr. Cameron said. A choice in favor of social mobility, in favor of a fairer society. Of a country where you can escape, truly escape, the circumstances of your birth. What is austerity in the UK? Read more about it here. Mr. McIntyre was a test case for this experiment. He was identified as gifted and enrolled in a charity program, the Social Mobility Foundation. He was sent to stay at Cambridge University, where he ate in a wood-paneled dining hall, served by waiters, an experience he described as hilarious. He thrilled his mother by saying he wanted to become a doctor. But once he arrived at the University of Brighton, that confidence collapsed. Rents in Brighton rose faster than anywhere else in England last year, according to Hamptons International, a rental agent. The room he found, at the top of a musty, water-stained stairway, cost more than his government maintenance loan could cover. When he added up his tuition and maintenance loans, the amount he will repay the government once he is in a secure job, it came to £46,500, or roughly $61,000. His anxiety was so intense that he tried to get an appointment for medication. "It's that feeling of having absolutely nothing which I don't want to even go near," he said. The panic eased when he found a job as a kitchen assistant at a J.D. Wetherspoon pub. Wetherspoons is Britain's ubiquitous low-cost restaurant chain, like Applebee's, but with pints of ale. Its founder, a bluff self-made millionaire named Tim Martin, is an American-style celebrity entrepreneur who counts Walmart's Sam Walton among his heroes. Mr. McIntyre worked the fryer, lowering hash browns and sausages in a metal basket into a spitting tub of hot oil, so that his hands were speckled with pinprick burns. He liked the Wetherspoons clientele, including the ones who lined up, shakily, for pints at 8 a.m. Forgotten people, he called them. But he seethed over the pay and working conditions. 5 days a week he worked midnight to 8 a.m. shifts, which left him shaky and ill. Was this adult life, this relentless precariousness? His coworkers did not offer much comfort, a lot of them already had university degrees. "Other people can't pay their rent, and I'm a paycheck away from not being able to pay my rent," he said. He was in this frame of mind when he was approached quietly by a coworker, who asked him, a little mysteriously, "We're fed up. Are you fed up?" A few months later, Mr. McIntyre strode out onto North Street for his first walkout, accompanied by their union rep from the Bakers, Food and Allied Workers Union, demanding a minimum wage of £10 an hour. The strikers looked nothing like the coal miners of the 1980s printed on Britain's collective memory. They were sons and daughters of the middle class, wearing wallet chains and leopard skin pants and Doc Martens. "You are already trending, number 6 on Twitter," whooped the union rep. "Solidarity from Plovdiv, Bulgaria," someone shouted.